Captain, you're a star, you are. Another one of your gems, that. Listen, after last week's show, I've got all the family now saving the toilet roll innards so I can get sewing.
Brilliant, mate. I tell you what, though, there's one thing I forgot to say, and it's really important. And Mr. Middleton suggests that sewing a couple of rows a time until the August bank holiday means you'll get a supply of fresh vegetables all through summer and autumn, instead of having a glut and eating produce decidedly past its best. I mean, how many cabbages can you eat in a week?
I must admit, no, probably not a lot, actually. But I always thought that when you planted seeds, you did the whole row, and that was it, one hit. And that's
well, if you've got a family of about 250 people, yeah. I mean, no, the idea is, you know how we planted the things in the little mushroom tray?
Yeah.
Well, if you do that amount of seeds every 2 weeks, and get a succession, it's called successional sowing, that means by the time you've eaten the first lot, the second lot are ready to be picked.
Oh, right.
So you get like a constant supply, instead of having like 250 cabbages and 250 cauliflowers and things like that.
So they're going to go to waste, makes sense?
Yeah.
I've learned something there. Right then, so what are we looking at planting this week?
Well, I reckon it's a good time now to get some onions and shallots in. I like shallots, and what I use are little things called sets. They're actually small bulbs that have been already started.
Yeah.
And what you do is you rake your soil really, really fine, and then with the tip of your finger you just make a hole and put the set into it. Just carefully push it in.
Okay.
But what you've got to make sure is, and you'll find that there's some loose skin on the bulbs, dry skin.
Yeah.
So you need to take that off, because the birds will spot it and they'll come down and they'll pull all the bulbs out. And they're a real nuisance.
Talking about nuisances in your garden, something that Mrs. GJ moans about all the time is slugs in the garden. At the moment, that they seem to be all over the place, and I think she said that she planted something the other week or something, and the slugs have already eaten 2 of them.
Yeah.
And they're just an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, they are. Well, there's loads of ways to try and stop them. I mean, they're one of those perpetual grief that everybody moans about. Some people use pellets.
Yeah.
I'm not a great advocate of that myself. I mean, you always run the risk of some birds eating them, so that's not a really good idea. There are effective ways. Slugs and snails don't like to crawl over loose things, sharp things. So find grit.
Yeah.
Actually, if you go in a pet food place, you can buy budgie grit. Budgie grit, yeah, it's really fine. And what you do is, or tell you what else is good, crushed dried eggshells, and you sprinkle it in a little circle around the plant. And what it does, it sort of deters them from crossing it. Or you're trying to deter them. You'll never get rid of them, you're just deterring them.
And I assume that you don't buy crushed dried eggshells, you make them yourself.
Yes.
I thought you might.
Waste not, want not.
Not want not. And didn't I read somewhere, I'm sure I read it or heard it on the radio or something, about copper being good to stop the slugs getting to your plants. I don't know how it works.
It is said. It's actually like the old battery thing. You know, the slime on the bottom of the snails and the slugs reacts with the copper and sort of gives them an electric shock.
Right. Oh.
Tiny electric shock. So it's a deterrent. It stops them. It stops them doing it. And funny you should say that, because if you come over to the bench, I'll show you a thing that I put together a while back to actually do that specific thing. And I'll show you how to make Captain Tongo's copper bracelets. Okay, GJ, right. Captain Tongo's patented slug copper bracelets.
Right.
All right?
Okay.
Very simple. All we need is a bit of wire. This came out of when the house was being rewired. Okay. And what you do is you just slit the end like that, and you'll see that that's the earth wire in the middle.
Okay. And that's the copper bit, is it?
That's the copper bit.
Okay.
Pair of pliers. Okay. So what we do is we just grip that and we pull.
You've done this before, I see.
I've done this before. Right. Okay. So there you go. There you have the makings of your bracelet. Okay. So what we do is, now here you go. These are actually slug pellets.
You said don't use them.
I don't use them. No, I actually found this. This is empty.
All right.
So this is what I'm using. It's almost ironic.
You're using this to make your bracelet.
It's quite ironic, really, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, so what we do is we get the copper wire.
Yeah.
And we just simply wind it round like that. Okay, and it gets caught
Stuck in your jumper.
And we wind it round till it's about that long. You get a little bit of a handle on it. Snip the
I hope your pliers are sharp.
Snip the pliers off. Then we just slide it off. And there is the perfect size to be able to drop on top of your plant.
Right.
So you just put that down on top of it like that. And what happens is the slugs seem to have this thing about when the slime touches the copper, it's a bit like a battery, you know, it gives them a tingle. So it's a deterrent. I'm not saying it works 100 times out of 100, but they think twice about going back. And, you know...
In the words of that guy from Dad's Army, they don't like it up them.
They don't like it up them, sir. These are ones that I made actually last year, and you can see they're slightly tarnished. All you do is you get some of that stuff that that bloke advertises, and it cleans copper, and you just...
Silly thingy.
That's it, yeah, and you just... drop them in there, and they just come back up like that.
And after using them, you could probably wear them as earrings.
Absolutely.
Bet Lynch earrings.
Yes. Yeah.
Lovely.
So there you go. Captain Tongo's copper slug bracelets.
Brilliant. That's really good. I'm impressed. Quick, easy. And we could make a fortune out of those if we made loads of them. We could sell them online.
Don't tell Andy. And
Pound
actually,
a time.
you know, you've got two more, because you can, if you've got time, you can actually peel the outside off that. And
so it's all copper wire.
It's all copper. Yeah.
There
you go.
That's why you're the engineer and I'm not.
Free for the price of one.
I'll have a go at that later. Thanks very much. Brilliant. Okay. Oh, there's something I meant to ask you, Captain. One of my mates was mentioning it the other day and asked me if I knew, and I didn't. But compost. What can or can't you put on your compost?
I see. Brilliant question, GJ. You know me and compost.
Yeah.
It's the heart of every allotment or garden where you want to grow things. It's really important to put back the nutrients that plants take out of the soil.
Yeah.
And it's actually just a case of a few rules that if you follow them, you should get great compost.
Okay.
Whole point is you need to get a good mixture, a good balanced mixture of green and brown vegetation.
Right.
So you want to try and make like a little bit of a layer cake. Vegetable peelings are great. Use tea bags, coffee grounds, shredded paper, lawn mowings. You can all go on the compost heap.
Coffee grounds? You said coffee grounds. Where'd you get them from?
Well, you know when you go down the high street and you buy your coffee from one of these big... Well, sometimes if you actually go in, it'll say grounds for gardeners. And what they do is it's the spent coffee grounds. They stick them in a big bag for you. Just sprinkle them in compost heap.
Wow.
They work really well.
Okay. And you said shredded paper. So you mean I can use the old bank statements to go with my veg?
Absolutely, you can. Yeah.
Brilliant.
As long as you don't put it all in a massive, great big lump. I mean, the idea what I used to do is I'd get half and half of lawn mowings and shredded paper, mix it all in, and then dig into the compost so it spreads it all around. But it works great. You can get, for kitchens, you can get these compost caddies now. And again, you can get pottery ones, you know, really posh. That Mrs. GJ would love one of those. In fact, I'll put a picture on now of a very, very tasty one that you can buy online. And, you know, it sort of adds a little bit of glamour to the kitchen, even though you're saving your compost.
And again, right or wrong, can you put like the leftovers from your Sunday lunch?
No.
On there, you can't put that.
Definite no. No, you can't use cheese, meat, or any cooked vegetables really. No, because all you're doing, you're attracting vermin, you're attracting rats and mice.
Yeah, makes sense.
You can't put dog or cat waste on. Thick woody stems, you've got to think if it's got to rot down, and so if you've got a big lump of a branch or something, it'll never rot down.
So starting from scratch, how long is it going to take before we can use our compost?
Well, if you get the heat right, the whole principle is you need to get heat into it, lots of air flowing through, build the heat up. 3 to 4 months. You can use these accelerants that you can buy that speed up the process, but actually, if you've got nettles in your garden or on your allotment, nettles are a really, really good accelerant. If you pick them and mix them into the compost, they'll actually speed up the process.
There's more to this compost lark than meets the eye, isn't there?
Well, again, I say it's not that difficult, but you just got to think of it. It's the food of the garden. I mean, you know, you want to get as much goodness into the soil as you can. Every time I do a trench of potatoes, I always put a shovelful of compost in the bottom. Gives them a boost. And also, when it gets really hot, you can use it as a mulch around your plants to keep the moisture in.
Well, there's a lot more to compost than meets the eye.
Absolutely, mate. And don't ever forget, there's no better free food for your plants. Anyway, moving on. Last week, we asked our viewers to send in some pictures of their wellies for the welly wall. How did we do?
Amazing. Absolutely brilliant, Captain. We had some great photos of all different sorts and styles of wellies. It's going to be a really tough job picking out a winner, but we'll do the welly wall so you can see your wellies on the telly at the end of the show. But now, come on, mate, it's your turn to make the brew. Well, Captain, you brought me to another allotment this week, down here to the Thornbridge Allotments in Great Barr.
And happy to introduce you to Andy Poyner, who's the chairman of the Allotment Society.
Welcome.
Morning, Andy.
Well, morning and welcome to Thornbridge Allotments.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about the place.
We're a self-managed society, as all societies are now in Birmingham City Council. We've got 77 plots on this particular site, all different sizes and shapes because of the nature of our site. It's a very meandering sort of site.
Tell us about this plot behind you. We noticed this. I mean, this is literally as we walk through the entrance. Just tell us something about that.
This particular plot is what's known as our William Richards Memorial Garden. William Richards was a soldier of the First World War. He joined the Shropshire Light Infantry in 1915 and was then transferred to France, as many others were. Sadly, William was killed on the 26th of September 1917 in the Third Battle of Ypres, at the Battle of Polygon Wood. Unfortunately, like so many of the soldiers, his body was never found. He is commemorated in the Tyncott Memorial in Belgium, and his medal, for some reason, was dug up on our site. To cut a long story short, we thought we would memorialise the medal and have a permanent memorial on our own site, and hence the reason for the memorial garden.
Fantastic. Okay, well we're gonna take a stroll down and have a look at some of the plots.
So, Captain, I'm learning as we go around now. I know last week at the barn we saw some raised beds, and I see they're here again. And you mentioned about the 4 foot across, so I'm picking that up. That's what these are, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see you can reach the middle from either side.
Yeah.
So and then you put your varies. You've got some leeks in there, but you can have carrots, you can have onions, you can have brassic, anything.
And there's obviously, I can see there's looks like it's growing pink pegs. Is that standard? Is it the time of year to plant pink pegs?
It's obviously a new seed variety that's just come out.
That's very nice. I wouldn't mind trying those. They're a bit chewy.
Good spot, GJ. Good spot.
Very, very nice. Well laid out. Must be obviously a professional that looks after this particular plot.
Of course. Yeah. Well, they're all professionals.
Lovely. And Andy, as we're walking around here, I see we've got this is slightly different. It's a big raised bed. This maybe for somebody, I don't know, with it. To me, it looks like maybe somebody in a wheelchair or has got mobility sort of problems. Is it something like that?
It is. It was built some years back specifically for someone with movement difficulties.
Yeah.
It allows someone who can't bend fully for whatever reason to be able to reach into the bed. Again, you've got the ability to reach halfway across without overstretching, and it is used by someone who has impaired movement.
It is. Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. And over there, obviously, we've got the. They look like oil drums to me, cut in half, but are they just beds that will have something planted in them fairly soon?
You can see, well, there's a water barrel there, which is prior to being cut in half.
Okay.
And they put what's in these normally is flowers, but you could grow vegetables in there, you could grow all sorts in there, but it's just another way of using something which you probably wouldn't normally think of.
Good idea.
But also making it accessible as well for someone who can't again reach and has got movement impairment.
And it looks good as well, doesn't it, Captain?
I like it. I'm very interested in the scarecrow down the bottom end.
That's not the scarecrow. I see that's the guy that they caught him because he nicked the video. And Andy, we can see some green things here behind you. What are those?
Well, that is a dwarf curly kale.
Curly kale.
One of the finest vegetables you can grow. It's very long lasting, very long season, goes all through the winter. One of the most flavoursome vegetables.
I'm going to show off now. Is curly kale a brassica?
Of course it is.
See, I'm learning this gardening stuff. It's brilliant.
You're doing very well.
Shall we walk a little bit further down and
Yes,
have a... I'm getting into this.
So this is Karen, and we're looking at this absolutely wonderful plot, Karen. Tell us about it.
I've had the plot 7 years and I've won best plot for the last 6. It doesn't look like it now, but come the summer it transforms. It feeds all my family and my grandchildren, and also I donate a lot up to the shop where we sell the produce to raise funds for our site. It's a labour of love. It's
magnificent.
And
magnificent.
the reason we've got ladders going round was to keep my grandchildren in because of the road. Because my grandchildren come down, sow and pick, but I didn't want them to be able to get off the site. So we put ladders up and I grow things all up through the ladders. So I grow vertically as well as on the ground.
I'm waiting to grow vertically, Captain. My mum said it will happen one day. And Andy, it's a great shed you've got here. Do you call it the shed?
I do call it my shed, yeah.
But the thing that would worry me, you see, when I eventually get my allotment, me and Mrs. GJ, in the summer, you know, if we were sat out here on our deck chairs, enjoying a glass of whatever we happen to take our fancy at that point, that noise of that motorway, that would really get on our nerves, doesn't it? Get on yours?
The motorway, that is not the motorway.
It is, it's a motorway.
It might be the M6, but when you're sitting here on a nice sunny day and there's all the green trees in front of you, all you can hear is the sea crashing in over the waves. That's what that sounds like, and your thoughts just go far away.
I'm fascinated. What are we looking at now?
We're looking at watercress.
Fantastic. I love watercress. Is it good? Have you tasted it?
It's beautiful. It grows, it comes up about 2 foot high, covers this whole area, and as long as you wash it thoroughly, which you must do, it's lovely. It makes lovely soup.
Is it hot? Oh no, watercress soup, fabulous.
It's very peppery. And of course this is a remnant from the watercress farm that used to exist on this site.
Right. Fantastic.
So that was us visiting Thornbridge Allotments, and we had a great day.
Brilliant day.
It was, yeah, a really good day. Really enjoyed it.
And did you know Einstein had an allotment?
I never did.
Well, it's true.
Oh.
And he called his shed the Spandau Castle.
Not after the band, obviously.
No. Thing was, and this is true,
yeah.
In the end, he was kicked off the allotment. Mm-hmm. And the reason given were because the fence was not in order and the allotment makes an unaesthetic impression.
So many long words. So many long words. I haven't got an idea what you're talking about, but it sounds brilliant, Captain. Right then, what's your top tip for this week?
Okay, well, you know, we were talking about compost before, and we saw all those pictures of the different ways of making compost heap.
Yep.
The big black plastic compost bin, if you contact your local council, quite often they have special offers on. They don't really publicise it very much, but if you ask them, you'll probably get a really good deal on them, and they can be quite expensive, so any sort of money off makes them a really good deal.
Well, that's good. I never knew that. That's a very interesting tip. Another top tip from the Captain.
Hey.
Absolutely wonderful. And bearing in mind there's not much in season at the moment, because I've been listening to what you've been saying, what's the recipe of the week?
Well, this one's a bit of a favourite of mine. It's chorizo and chickpea stew.
I love chorizo. I love the chorizo. I love it hot. I love it cold. Mrs. GJ, she cooks it with chicken, and it's absolutely to die for. But chickpeas, not sure I've heard of chickpeas. No, what are chickpeas?
It's what they used to make hummus.
Ah, I only bought one of those once, but you could only get them left-hand drive. Come on. I know. Everyone's a gem. What else do we need, though, to make this stew?
Dead simple, mate. All you need is red onions, garlic, tin of tomatoes, red wine. Here's the special ingredient. And some of these celebrity chefs, they'd all be dying to find this out. Cardamom seeds.
Ah, cardamom seeds. That's sometimes they put that in rice, don't they?
They do, yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah,
I love the taste. It's a really flowery, lovely,
these
nice
are
smell.
just little seeds from inside it.
Oh, yes,
but you can find all the details on the blog.
Yep.
So if you go to bigcentre.tv, click on the Wellies link. It'll take you to the blog, and the recipe will be there.
And finally, we come to, wait for it, the Welly War.
Oh.
See your Wellies on the telly.
Hey, did we manage to sort out the prize then?
Certainly did. They've just arrived in the potting shed. Here they are. It's the Wellies fridge magnet, totally unique and only available from us. Very prestigious. So, while we show you the pictures of your Wellies on the Welly War, what's the piece of gardening-related music we're going to play?
Well, mate, it's got to be Booker T and the MG's Green Onions.
And the winner is Louise Toll's mum, Frances, with her amazingly clean Wellies. Congratulations, and we'll get the Wellies fridge magnet to you as soon as we can. And please send us back a picture of the fridge magnet on your fridge. Now, if you'd like to send us your pictures so you can see your Wellies on the telly, or if you've got any questions to do with gardening, growing fruit, veg, whatever it might be, or if you'd like us to come and visit you at your allotment or your garden, then here's the contact details now. Well, that's it then, Captain. That's another week done and dusted.
Yeah.
And as they say on Strictly, keep mowing.